right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Strefa Music Art, and today with us there are.
Oh yeah, I'm Chris,
Yeah, and I'm Nick.
and we're two members of GoGo Penguin.
There we are, GoGo Penguin. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm doing
good.
well.
How are you doing?
Good as well. All right, guys. So let me start with you're coming to Poland
Mm.
in a month and a half for 3 shows. So in a month and a half, because as we are recording these conversations, the 12th of March. So just in case I'm mentioning it. So it's going to be your next visit in our country. So how does it feel to be back?
Good. Yeah, really good. You know, we in the early days we played in Poland like really early on, but then we didn't play for a long time. And then in the more recent years, every time we've played, there's more and more people. So I guess it took a little while for people to find out about us, but I feel now that every time we go to Poland, there's more people and everybody's into it. So we're super excited to come back and do it again.
Yeah, right. So what do you remember from the last visits? Any fond or fun memories?
Yeah, well, one of our favorites, I guess. We played at Progressia in Warsaw, which has quite quickly become one of our favorite venues because like the atmosphere is amazing, the venue's great, and like Nick says, you know, knowing that we're getting a bigger fan base over in Poland, it means a lot to us. You know, we still feel really lucky that we keep getting to travel, and at this point in our careers, you know, we've been going for quite a while as a band, and to be at this point in our careers and still finding that we can travel to places that we haven't really, you know, either that we've
Yeah.
never been to or that we've only been to a couple of times, and that the fans are building and the atmosphere is great. It's really exciting. But obviously, you know, we're coming back with new music this time as well from the last album, so should be very exciting, hopefully.
There we are. So sticking to Poland, we'll move to the topic of new music and the touring. But have you tried any local food?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like my granddad was actually Polish,
Oh, there
so
we are.
yeah, I was introduced to some things when I was quite young, like pierogi particularly. I absolutely love pierogi.
Ah,
Yeah, I mean it's, you know, it's a great country to be able to come and, you know, just like we like that whenever we travel everywhere, being able to kind of absorb ourselves in the culture a bit, and food's
mm,
a big part of that. We're very like we're quite obsessed with food. We love cooking, and
mm,
you know, when we get on tour, obviously we can't cook, but we can eat, so we enjoy that part of it definitely.
Yeah.
there we are. Yeah. Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have Polish grandfather, but I have had pierogi, and I yeah, definitely love eating and trying out lots of different cuisines from all over the world. So I'm sure there's things that I haven't tried that I'd love to try, but
Mm,
same. It's always good when we come to Poland. We always love it. So looking forward to it.
there we are. Yeah, pierogi are the best actually, especially from grandma's in the kitchen and all this stuff, grandma's pot and all that stuff. And I can tell you know what you are saying because you are saying pierogi, not pierogis, like a lot of people do. It's already plural. Anyways, any Polish words, vocabulary?
I remember Dzień dobry or Dobry
Yeah.
wieczór.
Oh,
Yeah, couple of little things, but it was many years ago. You know, I lived in the same house as my granddad, and I
yeah.
used to go up and we very much enjoyed having a big jar of pickles, and we'd just
Yeah.
share those and chat, and he'd teach me a few words now and again. Yeah,
Yeah, right. So dzień dobry, dobry wieczór is quite okay, right? Quite useful,
yeah.
I would say. All right, gentlemen. So about your music, there's a new single flying around called Kai Dao,
Mm.
if I pronounce it correctly. Kai
Yeah.
Dao. So what can you tell us about that single? What is Kai Dao itself as the meaning?
Okay, the meaning is it actually means to put a fried egg on top of something in Thai. So
Okay.
it's basically that. A lot of the time, our music has very deep sort of meanings to it and very sort of emotional attachments. And it's nice to just not have that with this, you know, it being a little burst of sunshine, like having a crispy fried egg on top of your food. Many years ago, I lived in Thailand, and I have a lot of friends there, and it was just a little homage to putting a fried egg on top of it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's funny. Like we chatted about this track where, you know, with all the stuff that we've written in the past, there are some tunes that are quite happy and they have a lot of positivity to them. But I guess, you know, if you kind of listen to them carefully, there's always a little tinge of melancholy or some sadness, or not even sadness, but just that it's not quite as simple as it just being really happy. And we realized with this tune, it's possibly the first GoGo Penguin tune that is just pure happiness, like absolutely just total joy and no kind of dark sort of side to it. So yeah, I think it made sense to have a title that was just a bit of fun and something that kind of, you know, it means something fun for us as well. So yeah, it was a nice attachment to it. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And the music itself is very, very different. It's, you know, I don't think it's an indication of where we're going to go in the future or anything. It's just a sort of one-off. You know, Chris kind of came up with this thing on the modular setup, and we just didn't want to let it go to waste. So we're like, you know, let's put it out there. It's a bit different. Some people might be a bit like, whoa, what's going on? But
it still feels like us though, doesn't it? The way that we treated it feels like it's still GoGo Penguin, even though it's quite different. It still felt very natural to us and didn't feel like it was something different or like part of a different project or like we had to kind of make it something else. We were able to just know it could sit next to the other music. And as Nick said before, you know, we don't worry too much about the idea of adding these elements. It's like an artist just adding more colors. It's a perfect way of putting it. You know, it's like we're not adding something that's unnatural. We're just adding more of the thing that we use, the tools that we use in instruments and sounds and just things that can make some different elements in the music.
So there was nothing like especially with the title, so nothing deep as I reckon, right? So just as you said, there's a huge fun for you with that.
Yeah. In its own way, I guess that's, you know, it's not about, like, sometimes the meanings are quite deep because they're usually quite emotionally complicated. You know, like on the previous album to this, you know, there was a lot of music written about loss and tragedy and how we kind of dealt with that, and then the peaceful, happier side of recognizing when you've got sanctuary away from that and a safe space to be able to kind of deal with it. You know, we've always got these things going on, and like everybody has, you know, these things can be quite heavy. But I think, you know, equally just being able to have some fun, that's quite deep in its own way, you know, to find those moments where, you know, life can just be good and you can be smiling, happy. And for us, with everything we've gone through over the past few years, individually, but then also as a band, to have that moment where we genuinely felt that kind of level of joy and happiness without it being kind of tainted by any threat or tragedy or danger or anything like that, that was quite meaningful to us as well. So it felt appropriate to use that in the music.
Yeah, so you found the balance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So about the latest album, still fresh, 2025. So Necessary Fictions. So can you walk us through the making of it? So any stories from the studio, from the process?
I think with this one, me and Chris, it was because me and Chris are in Manchester and John lives in London. A lot of the time it's me and Chris in this very room here. So we spent a lot of time like experimenting with things, having some fun as well, not worrying too much about where it was going to go. And it was, for the most part, really productive and really quite straightforward. Of course, there are days where you're just driving home thinking, I'm terrible and this is no good and we're just not coming up with anything. But everyone goes through that. You just have to keep going. It's you know, if it was that easy, everyone would be knocking out amazing albums all the time. And it's definitely not that easy. But we found that we really got into a really good flow with this one. Like we really solidified the way we work together is even stronger. The sort of element of collaboration that we have, and we had more tunes than we've ever had when we went into an album, and we were more prepared for it.
Yeah,
So it felt
definitely.
really good, you know. As Chris sort of had mentioned, the album before was difficult. It was difficult after a big change in the band, after COVID, after some personal losses as well, and it was just a very weird time. And this one didn't feel quite as weird. It was just like, let's get back to business, but you know, in a sort of joyful way, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole thing was really good. You know, it was challenging at times because making an album is not easy, but I think we're really proud of this one, and we're really blown away by the response. And it still feels really new to us as well, because we haven't really performed it live that much. We did a tour in North America. That was the first time we played it live last year, and we finished that in November. We've done the first leg of this tour this year, which has done a couple of UK dates, big tour of France and a few in Spain, one in Milan and one in Zurich, and that's it. So we haven't played around Europe with this, so it still feels really new to us, and we're still excited to play it. You know, the new tunes are our favorites to perform.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So how long did it take to record the whole thing?
I think we were there for about 2 weeks with
Wow.
a little break in the middle as well, because we went to a place that's not too far from Manchester, a place called the Arch in Southport, or near Southport, and we were able to travel back in the middle because, like, I've got a kid, and Joe, our engineer, he was expecting at the time. His wife was expecting. His partner was expecting, and he wanted to get back and see her, and we all wanted to be able to have some time with family. You know, it's like, it's important because, like, it's very enjoyable but very intense being in that situation. We've got very used to working as a team, which is great. We were still with both Joe, who travels with us when we go touring, but also Brendan, who has been a producer on the record since V 2.0 as well. And it's great, you know, we just have that very small team, just the three of us, and then the two producers who work with us and record the album. But it's an intense thing to do, you know, even now, as kind of practiced as we are. Is it 7 albums now that we've done? You know, it still feels like it's I guess because of the way that we evolve and the way that we keep changing musically and the way that we keep, you know, adapting our approach and trying to do new things, it's always challenging. So, you know, being able to have that little break in the middle, just a little reset, and then go back for another week, it was really good, actually. And it was great fun. I mean, like always, it's you know, a challenging thing, but so much fun. And just being with your friends making music, I mean, it's one of the best things you could possibly do, really.
Yeah. I'm asking about the whole studio experience, because not every musician likes to be in the studio and record stuff.
Sure.
So very often it's like really well, a necessary experience, but that's why I asked about the duration of the recording, right? As quick as possible, maybe. I don't know. In your case, well, Chris, you're saying it was a fun experience with a break in the middle. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's funny because we say that it was 2 weeks to some people, and they're like, "Wow, that's not very long," you know. Because we hear about bands that spend months in a studio.
But that's just the recording part.
Exactly.
Like the hard part is coming in here every day and actually writing the music, you know.
Yeah, and we're in here, aren't we? When we do that, we're in here. I mean, we've got a really nice space here that we've built over the years. We you know, managed to get lucky and find a space in Manchester where we could build our own little kind of studio space, and it's great. You know, it's been somewhere that's really meant a lot to us over the years, but particularly more recently, it's really been a good place to work. But like Nick said, you know, we will be in here every day, even sometimes weekends, you know, and seeing each of us more than we see our wives and our kid, you know, and all this sort of stuff. You know, it's quite an intense period when we're writing. Yeah.
So about writing, about collaborating as a trio, I mean, the band itself, but who usually starts a new idea? Is it like a collective, or
it changes? I mean, you know, I think more so than ever now, it feels very collaborative in the way that, like, it could be either of us that bring an idea. It could be that an idea generates, you know, starts in the studio together just from scratch. It's very, very dependent on the kind of, I don't know, the mood that we're in and the space that we're in. You know, there's quite a few tracks on this last record where they originated from ideas that Nick was bringing from the bass, which has been really nice. And that's happened in the past, but I'm sure you'd admit, like, you'd say as well, it's not been as common as where tunes have maybe originated from the piano, or even sketches that have been like a beat that I've kind of written and then we've built things around that or tried things around it. It's been great having quite a lot of things coming from the bass, and then also a lot of things that we've been able to just jam in this studio together and just see where they've kind of led to. The fact that we've got more electronic elements, I mean, a lot of that came from just the fact that we got these instruments out and tried playing around with them, just seeing what we could do with them. And that's been quite new, partly because it's not, you know, it's been a natural progression leading to that point, but partly because, you know, it's only in these sort of, you know, more recent years that we have the kind of money to be able to buy some of this equipment. You know, it's like, I remember when I was a kid, I still loved, you know, both of us loved listening to a lot of electronic music, a lot of hip hop. But when you're a kid, you can't afford, you know, synthesizers that cost thousands of pounds. And now, you know, it's not that we've got that kind of money, it's that companies are making really great instruments for a lot less money. You know, you've got Behringer making some of the clones and things. I'm kind of working more with a modular setup, which it can get very expensive, but you can also find interesting modules made by people that are pretty reasonable and pretty affordable. And it's then about what you do with them yourself, rather than it having to be thousands and thousands of pounds worth of expensive gear. And it's just led, you know, to a lot more kind of places of inspiration, you know, things that we can try and things that we can just mess around with.
All right. So actually, you mentioned past, right? But so about your musical development, let's say. So because your music, guys, blends like jazz, electronics, classical influences, but what, where, and when the idea came out, like, okay, let's play something like that.
I mean, I'm not sure there was really a kind of starting point for that in a weird way. I know that sounds weird because there obviously must have been a point where it all kind of came together. But I think before we were in this band together, we were all doing the same. We were doing something that had those kind of elements to them and those foundations to them. So, you know, like you said, I was more from a classical background, but I always loved playing in bands, wanted to be in something that felt like an actual band, not just like a kind of classical ensemble. And because of that, I ended up playing bass guitar more often than not, because trying to find places to play piano in a band didn't quite work. But, you know, I'd end up playing bass when I was a kid just because I wanted that experience. And then, you know, I mean, Nick was in a group called with a guy called AIM, who was like a kind of hip hoppy electronic kind of DJ who then put a live band together. And, you know, we've all done a lot of things that have these kind of seeds of what we've ended up doing now in this band. It's kind of like a combination of all these little things. But I think it was that we were all of a similar mindset, that we wanted to be in a band, we wanted to make music together, and we wanted to find a place where we could do this thing that we wanted to do before, but we just couldn't find the right space to do it in. And it's tricky because, you know, you've got to be with the right musicians. It's got to be the right little spark that kind of kickstarts all of that and just makes it kind of happen. So, you know, I was writing music with another group before, GoGo Penguin, that had some of these elements in, but it wasn't quite right. It was a little too focused on jazz. And, you know, the other players in the band, they were a little more rooted in that kind of world than I was. And both, you know, great musicians, but it just wasn't the right fit. Whereas when I ended up working with Nick and then with Rob, the original drummer, you know, we were coming at it more from that angle of listening to a lot of electronic music, a lot of hip hop. You know, there was a lot of rock influence and indie influence in there as well. But we were playing piano, bass, and drums. And it was just a case of going, well, let's use those things, but use all of these ideas and think about how we can use those instruments to make this sound, to incorporate this thing. And I think because we all felt that way, luckily, you know, we all met each other and it all kind of came together. And you know, a big part of it is luck. You know, it's being ready for that luck when it comes along. You know, we'd all been working at what we did. We'd all been practicing really hard, trying to get good as musicians, but we got really lucky that we met each other and that we all wanted to do that same thing.
It's also it also, if you listen to the very first album compared to what we're doing now, it's a bit more jazz, you know, like it's been a gradual testing the boundaries, keep pushing them until now, obviously with this single Kai Dao that's just on synths.
Yeah.
But that's not that, like I said earlier, that's not a real indication that that's what we're going to do going forwards. That's maybe just a one-off. You don't know.
Well, it's nice to feel that
Yeah.
kind of pushed the boundaries even further for us of knowing what we can do. You know, rather than it feeling like we can't go that far, we've realised we can probably go even further. You know, that's just another step. It's just another sound and another idea, but it doesn't feel like we've kind of pushed too far, does it? It's just something to try. Yeah.
All right. Okay, guys, about well, still music, but about live performance. So what's your favorite part about performing live in front of, you know, like an audience, just audience, right?
It's got to be the experience, the shared experience of it. It's not just us on a stage; it is everyone in the room. So it's nice. We do lots of different types of venues because we're a strange band like that. We can play concert halls and we can play like rock clubs and festivals, and so we do a mixture, and they're all good in their own way. But for me personally, and I think it's the same for Chris, you know, that we kind of prefer the club, standing club atmosphere. Because people, you feel like you're getting a bit more back off the audience, and we really feed off that, you know, because it feels like it's not just us performing for the audience. The audience feel like part of it as well. And I think when you get a bit of like just everyone experiencing a thing in the room, it propels us to perform, you know, better, or, you know, we're more in the moment. And I think that's a beautiful thing, you know, when everyone's really in it together. That's my favorite part about performing.
All right. And do you have any, let's call them rituals or some habits before the shows?
I'm not sure really anymore. Like, I think we kind of have a really tight-knit group, like with the crew that we travel with over the years. You know, we've built up to the point where we've got our sound engineer and monitor engineer who are both really good friends of ours, both live in Manchester as well. And you know, we have a couple of other people like a tour manager and, you know, people that will travel with us, and we've all got used to being together for that long, being on the bus together and being, you know, seeing each other every day. And I think what we're getting more and more used to is just finding how we can interact together in that way, because it's a very strange thing to do, you know, when you're with people that are all very individual and very different people at the end of the day, trying to find a space that works for everybody, and also you know, still be a tight-knit group, but also know when people need their own space. And I think maybe that's the closest to a ritual, is just learning like where you know, right, somebody's just needing a little bit of time to themselves, these guys are going to be in a little group together, and you're just getting used to the kind of dynamic of that, kind of like a family, you know. It's literally like being with a family, and everybody just having to be themselves, but everybody else reacting to that and also being themselves. And yeah, I don't know, there's no sort of particular thing that we do before we go on stage. Just joking around, having a laugh. There's excitement, you know. There's excitement for us.
But to deal with excitement and stress, right?
Yeah. We have to. We have in-ear monitors now, so we always have to. Chris normally asks me about 10 minutes before if I can tape his in-ear monitor wire to his neck. That's a ritual. We do that every time.
And after the show, with the duct tape or something.
But yeah, apart from that, I'm brushing my teeth. I always brush my teeth before I go on stage for some reason. Don't know why.
It is a ritual.
Yeah, it is.
It is a bit.
This is the thing. I think we get so used to it, you kind of forget, you know, that it's normal to us, but it's like a little bit strange to others.
Okay. All right. All right, gentlemen, because we're coming to an end. But let me just ask you some questions outside of music, maybe about you, And okay, so if it wasn't music, what would it be?
Oh, probably cooking.
Ah,
Yeah, I mean, like, I'd like to say the same, but I don't think I could ever handle being in the kitchen. Like, I love being in the kitchen and cooking at home, but the thought of having to be in a professional kitchen, I think I'd be too soft for that. You know, the heat and the pressure and the kind of the stress that, you know, you watch something like The Bear and see everyone shouting at each other. I don't think I could handle it. I think for me, like, it was always, I really love graphic design. I was really, that was the only thing that at one point when I was younger I considered doing other than music. But to be honest, I'm really glad I went down the music route. I like to be able to do some design now just for fun. Like, I do the covers for the band, and you know, it's nice to be able to have a hand in it still. But I'd probably say I'd love to be a painter. That's my dream, like, you know, to be really good at oil painting. So maybe that would be a nice thing to do.
Yeah, I'd love to learn about photography as well properly. But I there's some perverse part of me that actually thinks I could handle the pressure of the kitchen, like being like shouted at and
Yeah,
of like, you know, regimental. I don't know. There's something about it that I think part of my character kind of would like.
You'd be the one doing the shouting.
Yeah, probably.
right. All right. So, because I need to ask you that. Gosh, you're from Manchester. Yeah. Are you into football?
I'm not really into football.
You know what I'm going to ask.
I do know what you're going to ask. This is a difficult question, actually, because even though I've spent more of my life in Manchester than I have where I grew up, which is in Yorkshire, which is, you know, about an hour away from Manchester. So Manchester's given me so much, but you can't forget your roots. So I support Leeds United.
There we are.
So there, it doesn't go down very well in certain parts. If the Manchester United fans do not like Leeds and vice versa. So if we're going to pick a Manchester team, because we can see it from our studio, we'd say Man City, but I'm a Leeds fan, really.
Right.
And the other guys don't really care about football.
One of our engineers is a Manchester United fan. So
there we are.
Him and Lee are always having a little fight.
Yeah, red and blue. Don't you?
Yeah. How about yourself? Are you a football fan?
Oh yeah, I am, but I am a Bayern Munich fan.
Oh,
Right, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I was in game last Friday.
Nice.
So I'm glad it's really good right now with our team. It's going quite well.
Harry Kane is doing very well. Yeah.
He's amazing. I knew he was good, but when he came to Bayern, I just figured how good he is. So seriously, yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Okay, all right, Chris, Nick, any last words for your fans in Poland?
I think just that we're really looking forward to coming and seeing them, playing some music, and the fact that it'll be a lot of the new music. There'll be some old stuff as well that people will recognize, I'm sure, but playing a lot of the new tracks off Necessary Fictions. We're really looking forward to it. Yeah, should be good.
Yeah, 3 shows, the end of April 2026. It's going to be Gdańsk, Warsaw, and Wrocław. So, guys, come and see GoGo Penguin. Gentlemen, thank you very much for the interview, and
thank you.
See you in Poland. Have a nice one.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Yeah, see you then. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.